つだけあった。
My friends, episode number 3 of Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. And here's the thing. Episode 2 was so good. With the introduction of the dragon, I just absolutely adored episode number 2. I think the comedy hit. I think the funnies hit. I think the introduction of the crazy dragon hit. Episode 2 was just really good. Now, as we transition to episode 3, the thing that this still has is it is adorable. The fact that the elf was learning how to speak Japanese and she was doing a really good job, probably better than any of us could do out the gate, was really awesome to see. And I thought it was really, really cool. This episode also established as well some basic things. One, Kazuhiko is still going to work. He's going to work. He has to, right? No matter what's happening in his other world, his sleep, or the elf, he has to still go to work and maintain his life. He still has weekends off. It establishes work-life balance. So I think that's cool. It established what she's doing while he's away. She's, taking this opportunity while they're not sleeping and going into the other world. She's taking this opportunity to learn Japanese, kind of learn the culture, watch TV, basically acclimate herself into this weird new world, which I think is cool. I actually really, really love. I think that's a really I think it's just a really, really cute thing. I love that quite a bit. And it also established that they're using this time to not only, kind of make lunches and stuff, but they're using this time to also plan what they're going to end up doing in this other world. This also established, it established one thing and then it raised a second question. They talked about how Kazuhiko talked about as they're transitioning into this other world, what happens to his body and his stuff over in the sleep world. Well, he's guessing that his body just disappears as well as his stuff. Like it goes into like an imaginary void, or it becomes invisible. And that's why he's never really been messed with or anything in this other world. And now we have to assume that's also happening to the elf as well. Is basically she's going invisible because he's like, my stuff's never been stolen. It's always there when I get back, blah, 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 which totally makes sense. But now the question that it raised is the reverse of that. Is he also being teleported? And again, I'm going to assume the answer is yes, because they had an animation before of him being uplifted out of the bed, whatever before. I'm going to assume the answer is yes, but maybe it's not teleportation because like he said, is my younger body, because he transitions into a younger body, so it's definitely not teleportation, at least you don't think. But he says, is my younger body disappearing or going invisible? Basically, is my other self staying over there as well as my stuff? So that leads me to believe in Japan, is he also going invisible, imaginary? And let's say a fire were to break out, or his house were to get broken in, and he gets killed while in this other world. I don't want to think about the worst thing ever, but let's just say it, right? Does that mean that he dies in this other world? Does that mean he can never come back to this world? And I'm not saying maybe someone doesn't break it, but maybe it's like a fire or something that God forbid that could happen. Does he wake up all of a sudden? Does he get what happens there? And also it's just a question of what happens to their now bodies in Japan. Question mark. I don't know. So it introduced some points, and then it also introduced some questions that we have. The other thing episode 3 did was solidify in my mind. I find this show more interesting with the elf being in Japan and getting acclimated and their Japanese life. I think that's a really cool thing, right? The show's called Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf, not Kazuhiko, Welcome to the Isekai world, right? So I'm finding that when we now pivot back to their other world, the show's not that good. And that kind of sucks because as they're in Japan, it's adorable. Their time in Japan's awesome. She's getting acclimated. It's this otherworlder being in Japan versus some Japanese person going to some other fantasy world, right? It's the reverse, which we hardly ever get. So I love that. But as we go into this other world, we end up having virtually no storyline. They're gonna go search for magic stones because they can. We find that she has a job in this other world, so she's like, I still gotta go complete my other sorcerer guild job, stuff. But then when they're in the other world, the thing that sucks about it is the animation's not very good. Kazuhiko goes and destroys like some kappas or something, and they show him like with like wah 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 with the sword, but we don't actually see, did he cut off their head? Did he slice them? Like, how did they die? They're the kappa thing, they're just, I'm dead. It's like, oh, it's really bad. Like really bad. Like I mean bad. Like I gotta be honest, it's bad. So I just kind of feel like as the focus, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't, you know, maybe they should just give us like glimpses of what they're doing and then get us back to Japan. And thankfully, you know, next episode, he's, you know, Kazuhiko stated that, I have the weekend off, so we're going to get them back in Japan again. But I was like, oh man, when they're in the other world, like everything kind of like goes downhill a little bit. And then the very last thing is that also kind of sucked a bit is the fact that, how do you say it? The thing that kind of sucked a bit is at the end, they face, you know, the Beast Girl or whatever. And instead of trying to figure out a way out of the predicament he was in, his solution is to die. So he's taking the easy way. I didn't like that either. And that you know, boards them, or that brings them back to this world. So overall, I think this episode was, I don't want to say it. Do I say it? I think this episode was a 6 out of 10. I don't think it was very good, but I think the show's very good. And I have high hopes for next episode. So I'll see you guys then. Next episode should be a lot better. And hopefully we get more dragon. I need more dragon in my life. So yeah, I'll see you then, my friends. Peace.